What's up, Staten Island? What's up, world? What's up, American baseball fans of all ages across the entire globe? Glad you are joining us once again here on the TUF Talk podcast. My name is Todd Bavone from TUF Media. That's Chris Reyes right there, Team USA Baseball. Also, of course, TUF Media and many other businesses. He's an entrepreneur, guys, folks. He does everything. He's a little bit of this, he's a little bit of that, right, Chris? Is that fair?
Yes, sir. Changing the world, baby. That's what we do,
Oh, you
Todd.
got just a well-rounded machine of businesses that you're a part of, Chris. And I always marvel at your ability to juggle it all and try and make it all work. But the one thing we focus on here is baseball, right, Chris? And specifically the week that was Staten Island baseball. It's playoff time. This is it, right? You build up all the off-season training. The winter ball inside. God, we all hate winter ball and playing in gyms and whatnot. But you got to do it. It's part of
Yes, you do.
the gag, right? All that training, all those hours and suicides and drills that you do in the cage and then outside when it finally gets nice out and we all get excited. It's the opening day of Major League Baseball or whatever it may be, and all that work, all those sprints around the bases, all those laps around the field. This is it, Chris, right? And this is really crunch time, and to see where our previews actually ended up as well. So, what are your thoughts? Just give me a general, the long. We're not 162 games, right? Like Major League Baseball, but the long sloth of a season, from what I mentioned, off season, winter, and coming outside, culminates to this, Chris.
Yeah, Todd, we've been watching a lot of games around New York City, and I would say as a whole, New York City baseball is doing very well regionally. And then if we break it down a little bit more detailed and a little bit more focused into Staten Island, we are right at the top at the PSAL. We're right at the top in the CHSAA. Um, I keep saying Staten Island baseball is alive and well. I think at this point it's just that, and if not better, Todd.
Right.
For examples,
Right.
in the Catholic School League, St. Joseph by the Sea is in the final today um, for the city title. They're ranked number one in the city, and they're living up to that. Public school A and B division, Tottenville's right at the top again. You have McKee Staten Island Tech. Uh, we can't really go wrong with baseball in Staten Island and New York City. Currently, I'm actually in the car. I was just watching the Poly Prep game. They're doing really well. You have Stony Brook uh, High School from Long Island. They're playing next. They're doing really well. So, from a regional standpoint, a city standpoint, and then a borough standpoint, Todd, baseball is doing very well, and I'm very proud of that.
Which is great. And one thing I'd just like to add to those accolades to those numerous schools are our little leaguers as well. Last week you had mentioned it, Chris. You were with our up and comers, the youth, which is very important movement, and some of which are watching this program. We recognize you as well, and we're looking forward to the little league, season going full swing, and eventually leading up to the Little League World Series, and hopefully we get a local team that will be following. Chris. And again, that's just, you mentioned it last week. I just wanted to add to that review for our viewers, our listeners, what's happening in the Staten Island landscape. Let's not forget the little leagues that a lot of them kicked off not too long ago. So, yeah, it's been great. So a good job to all. Good to see familiar faces. It's kind of cool looking at the articles and seeing uh, our friends at CSI, although they bowed out last week when we covered it in the other podcast, to see Polamini, and to see our other guys from the other schools excelling, right? Our player of the weeks have
Yeah.
continued what they were thriving at when we got them, right? So it's great to see them all doing well. But Chris, I think anything else? What am I missing? What else has been happening in
You
the
know what it is,
baseball
Todd,
landscape? I
and I
mean,
and
that's
I I I definitely want to give kudos and credit to a lot of the travel ball trainers and little league coaches. A lot of the high schools are getting the accolades, but you can't forget the ground roots of where this started, right, Todd? So, as you go around, you got
right.
guys like Juan Camacho. You guys get, you have people. in the training atmosphere, the youth coaches, the travel ball organizations, the little leagues, um, they're setting the foundation for success, Todd, if that makes sense, right? And I don't want to lose
Absolutely.
sight of, Nelson Ortiz doing really well and Bobby Glenister and Bobby Mulligan, but they get the kids at the top, right? I want to give some credit. I want
Right.
to give some kudos to those guys that are on the ground level. Um, those trainers that are in the cages all day long, that are travel around to different,
Yep.
tournaments at Diamond Nation, Baseball Heaven, at Richmond County. You know, it takes a culture, right? It takes a neighborhood.
Right.
It takes a group of people to develop kids and humans, and I want to make sure we don't lose sight of that because there's a lot of guys on the ground that are doing a
That's
really
true.
nice job, and women, obviously.
And I'll be honest. Yeah, of course, men and women who have been helping the baseball community, and it's tremendous. The baseball family, the local family, is very strong. It's always been strong. Staten Island's been very fortunate with that from back when Chris and I went. You hear us talk about it each podcast. But Chris, just thinking out loud here, we haven't even discussed it. Once this high school season's over, that doesn't mean we stop, right? Like we still have a weekly cat podcast where we can find someone in the community. I mean, to your point,
Most
we've
definitely.
highlighted we've highlighted CSI. We started with Coach Mike Morrow, God bless him, and then Chris the following week, and then we got into really the high school. No reason why we can't find some little leaguers. We can't find some other coaches to have discussions with Chris, or maybe go back to some of the players of the week and say, hey, what are you doing? It's July. What is your training entail, or what are you up to at this point? Are people about to ship off to college, Chris? you you
Yeah,
you always like to highlight commits. All right, you're committed. It's August. What are you doing? Like when
sure.
so and Chris, is what I love about what you provide to our viewers and listeners is get into the mind of the kids that are watching this and people who are coming up and are watching this. What's your mindset going into this new challenge of graduating high school, going to college, perhaps going away and living at not at home, or maybe you are living at home? There's still, I always marvel at how they all do it, right? How are these kids and young adults doing this? And I think it's important for their mindset of what they're doing to prepare is shared, because it's all about preparation. Chris, you're a big fan of preparation, mind, body, soul, right? And I think I can't wait to hear, the Eddie Rethorns of the world, or our next guest, when they go away. What are they doing mentally, physically, with their friends and family to prepare for this next journey? So I hope we continue to do this, Chris. What do you think,
Yeah,
pal?
Todd, we've been getting a lot of questions like, is this just going to be a high school thing? Is this just going to be, a temporary thing? And no, we're going to have coverage at every Little League All-Star tournament. We're going to be at perfect game
Okay,
events. We're going to be at all the USA events. You might even see some out of region stuff that we want to branch into. I've been on the
okay,
phone with a lot of presidents of Little Leagues, and they're like, we would love to get coverage at the games and the skills competitions, at the all-star things. So we will be there.
sure,
This is not
okay.
stopping just, in June, so to say, at high school, but we will be bringing on different guests, and, we will continue the coverage at games, no doubt. And we have a few fun things coming for the boys. We're doing a Unity Day photo shoot media day for all the Staten Island Little Leagues. We did that last year, so
Awesome.
we're gonna have that at the Ferry Hawk Stadium. But you can definitely bet on the fact that Tough Media will be out at the youth events.
There you go. So this will continue for those that were wondering. But, Chris, we got carried away there, and I apologize to our guest. But let's bring him in. Why don't you, before we bring him on, why don't you introduce him and rattle off some numbers so people understand what he's been doing on the field, and we'll get to things he does off the field. Chris, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, we have Matt Mavricos from McKee Staten Island Tech, right-handed pitcher, infielder, had a phenomenal week. And, if you can go back a few weeks into the season, has had a phenomenal season. Great kid, comes from a great program with Jerry Sidman. Matt was been anything less but excellent is an understatement. He's 9-0 on the season. If 10-0 possibly, I have to double check that with Matt. Is Defensively doing this job, offensively doing his job. He's leading the way on the mound. Um, One stat I think is really impressive. I was at the field with Coach Jerry Sidman a few days ago, and he's told me that he has a 28 game winning streak, Todd, which is
Woo!
pretty damn impressive if you ask me, right?
I don't care
um,
what level you're at. I mean, that's just difficult to do. You know, I mean, I go back to watching Moneyball when the Oakland A's broke the record for 20 in a row, and you hear Bob Costas's voice on some program he was on, and he talks about the 1920 whatever Yankees murders row, and
mhm.
he says their longest winning streak 9. You know, and that's one of the greatest teams, arguably in the history of baseball. And my point of all this is any streak is impressive. That is absolutely astounding and ridiculous, to be quite frank.
Yeah,
That's
I would
crazy.
really, I would love to bring Matt in now if we can, and I would love to just kind
Yep.
of pick his brain on because he's been around for this, and I would love to hear what he has to say on what's going on over at McKee Staten Island Tech because they seem to have the magic dust, right?
What's the magic dust?
What's up? So, um, how you guys doing?
Doing well, Matt. What
Good. How are
what
you?
is what is going on over at McKee Staten Island Tech right now, man? Because I was down at the game at your senior day. The boys were out, and you guys just seem to be having fun, man. What's going on there?
Yeah, I think what you're saying with the fun, I think that's a part of the magic dust, and I think it's also just like attention to detail. Kind of what we work on is just the little things. Like during our practices, he'll bring out a machine, and we'll be bunting for 30 minutes. And although most games we might be mercying teams where you don't really need the bunts, there's going to be games like when we played Patrides at the stadium where one bunt moves a guy over, that guy gets moved over, he scores on a blooper, and that's a run you need. So I think things like that, it's the attention to detail, the little things. Like every day he has us working on cuts and relays, defensive stuff, making sure that if we need to make a cut in a relay in a game, save a run, it's going to happen and that run will be saved. So I think
So Matt, real quick before you finish, I know that you guys went to the quarterfinals last year, if I'm not mistaken,
semifinals.
semifinals. Do you think that this is going to be the difference this year? Those little
Yeah,
things, those intricate parts of the game. Do you think that's what's going to get you guys over the hump?
I think that with a little bit of the experience we have, because last year it was no, even ourselves to say that we were going to go 14-0 is obviously that's something that not the easiest thing to believe because it's a long season, anything can happen. So when you get to the playoffs, you kind of tighten up a little bit, like, oh, is this happening? Like the pressure's on us. But I think this year to get over the hump, we have the experience, we've been there before. We kind of know what we have to do this year to make it past the semifinals, make it to possibly the championship, and even if we're fortunate enough to even win the championship.
That's great, man.
I'm confident in you guys. I think your team is confident that you can get there, you can make it, and you can finish the job, my friend. Let's get to you a little bit, though. 28 in a row? Is that right? Is that
As a
possible?
team, yes, 28 in a row, which obviously it's even my freshman year. If you told us that we'd go on together as a team and win 28 straight, I probably wouldn't believe you. So it's kind of something remarkable that even I have to like go back and be like, wow, like we're
Wow.
a special team. Like this is what we're doing right now.
I love that you say that, Matt. If I can, Chris, special. Give me the definition for you. I love, team synergy. I remember, God bless him, Coach Artie McCarthy and Coach Gary Chelson. They used to talk about team synergy all the time. My freshman year of baseball. Talk about your team. What else? You said what's going to make the difference this year. Chris asked you why could you guys win it all this year about fundamentals. What else? It sounds like you got a special squad. You kind of started to get it to right there. What else is unique about this club?
I think it's just like the way we mesh with each other and the way that we breathe confidence into each other and believe in with each other. Like I'll go through school and I know some sports teams, people will be on sports teams together and like they'll see each other in school and they're not really the closest of people. But like for my team, especially when we see each other in school, it's like that's our guy. Like so there's kind of like a special mesh between each other. And then the confidence
Good.
that we put in each other, like on our senior day, we had one of our players, he had to step up and start because one of our usual starters was sick, couldn't play. and then he goes 3 for 3, steps up and does the job for us. So it's kind of just the belief we have in each other and the ability for us to come together and step up for each other.
That's cool, Matt. Yeah, me and Todd played at Tauntonville when we were nationally ranked and regionally ranked, and my team went 33-0. We were ranked 6th in the country by Baseball America, draft picks, college commitments, so on and so forth. And I would totally agree with that statement that in school, it was just free. It was easy. It was fun. Todd was there. It was fun. It was light. And that's exactly what you guys were when I came down to the field. And I'm so glad that you guys are having fun and keep that light, that light, airy feeling about it, because that's the thing that's going to get you over the hump. Keep it fun. You're going to see later on in the playoffs, when it does get stressful and it does, pull out some anxiety during the game. When you keep it fun, Matt, that's the thing, bro. It's the keeping of the fun. Win or lose, that fun is key, man, that you're having with your friends. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Your personal success. Anything I always like to see you're doing so well now, or is there something you worked on? We talked about the off season, right? And all the work you did in the off season to get to this point, to eventually get to a championship and win a championship. What have you worked on in the off season or during the season to prove your game that got you to this point where you're just crushing it? Like any part of your game in particular that you focused on, changed, batting stance, whatever it may be.
I think one of the biggest things I've focused on, especially since my freshman year, was just overall strength. Because I used to be a small and scrawny kid, and even then, I'm still kind of skinny, but I'm a lot stronger than what I was. So I think that working on that in the offseason has helped a lot. Arm strength, and then when we get into the season, like just being able to pound the zone and get ahead on batters, which I think the ability to throw strikes makes it the easiest because you're putting the pressure on the team that you're facing. The pressure is now on them to do damage because you're not giving them free passes to get on base, helping them get around the bases because you can't throw strikes. So I think those three things are the most important. And I think it's funny because like I'll talk to Sidman about my freshman year, and he'd be like, "Oh, your freshman year was like horrible." I was like 0-4. I remember even my friend makes fun of me still. I had like a 7.7 ERA in my freshman year. So it was like I knew like I had to just work on those things and stay dialed in on it. And so now it's helped me get to where I am now.
Matt, I have a question for you, and this is a question I always ask guys because I wish I would have had something like this when I was younger. Um, if you could talk to the younger Matt, right, about what to do what's right, what to do what's wrong, what type of advice would you give to him at 10 years old? Uh, you know, in regards to like a kid listening to what you're saying right now may help him, right? What would you say to the younger Matt?
So it's funny because even one of the freshmen on our team asks me all the time, like, what should he do to get for his senior year? And so I think if I were to give myself advice, it would just be consistency and understanding like what your flaws are, and because your flaws are going to be what stands out the most when you play. So if you just stay consistent and just work on your flaws as a player, it'll come together where in throughout the process, your flaws are going to become strengths because you've been working on them so consistently and diligently.
Mm,
That's
great
that's
advice.
the key right there. I mean, that's smart. Work on what's the worst that you hate to work on because you know you're not good at it, and eventually you're going to ace it because you're constantly doing it. Brilliant, Matt. God, again, Chris, we talk about the well-rounded individual. It's good to hear that type of feedbacks from these young men. Chris, I like asking this, Matt. My favorite time. Love to know what team you like out there in the major leagues, but also who inspires you, or who maybe you even model yourself after, whether it's at the dish or on the rubber.
Um, my favorite team is definitely the Yankees, and I think if I were to think back to anyone that kind of like inspired me, I'd probably say CC Sabathia because I think he played with like poise, but with like emotion, kind of some hunger that like he was gonna go out there and he knew he was better than you and he was gonna dominate you.
That's a
Nice.
good one.
The big southpaw.
Yeah.
Matty, that's a good one, man.
I mean,
I didn't
that's
think you were gonna come with that.
yeah,
That's good.
I, Chris, I got to tell you, that's again. Last week we had what? It was Buster Posey, and I forgot who the other person was that he mentioned. But wow, I didn't. I expected someone from today. I mean, Matt, that's great. That's awesome. CC's a big guy, intimidating guy. I mean, Hall of Famer, right? I think.
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
You know,
Todd, we have
like
some
a great
well-rounded
guy.
gentlemen that come on this podcast. Well-rounded.
Yeah, and I just so I'm just curious. I mean, that's well before your time, right? I mean, he retired 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
right? At this point, so but you were watching him. Who else did you like watching? Maybe outside of CC, who else did you like watching? Or Dooley like watching now?
I think when you ask me that, I'm thinking of the mid 2010s teams. So I'm gonna start naming names like
Oh,
Tanaka. I loved watching Masahiro Tanaka. He was very crafty. And then also Didi Gregorius. I remember watching him. He was just fun to watch.
Didi,
Throwbacks.
Yeah.
A lot of
it's a
throwbacks
fun
today.
guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. No, that's cool. Oh yeah, that's it's Didi was great. Didi Dutch, no, isn't he?
Yeah.
Netherlands.
I think he's on
Yeah.
the Dutch team in the World Baseball Classic. I remember seeing him on it.
That's yeah, and then yeah, God, that WBC is coming up. Is that this season or next year?
I think
26.
2026.
2026. All right. So we got another year for that. Anyway. All right, Matt. I'm trying to think what else haven't we covered here, Chris, with him.
I got
Was
one
he
more,
looking
Todd.
forward to? Go ahead, go for it.
I got I'm gonna start asking this question more often, but Matt, what drives you? What motivates you? Is it a thing, a person, an event? What keeps bringing excellence out of you? And I'm sure it's not just excellence in baseball, Matt. You probably do well in school. You have good relationships. Give some insight to what brings that excellence out of you. What motivates you?
I just like winning a lot. Like if you ask my family, we could be playing a game of like cards, and I'm gonna be there talking trash to everybody and just being as competitive as the game.
Love it, man.
So I think it's just a desire to just win. That's kind of it.
Now, does
That's
that
it,
go
man.
for
I
everything,
said it
Matt? That
last
goes
podcast. Yeah.
for just it could be cards, it's baseball. You know, I know you say winning, but you could be winning as a brother, right? You have a great relationship with your family. Talk about how that plays into life, right? Without mentioning sports, without mentioning winning actual game, how are you winning in life? What are you doing some things in life that you're winning in?
Well, because I think like when to win, you have to be the best version of yourself. So I think of like winning in school, I have to be able to study, hit the books hard, make sure I'm putting myself in a good position to succeed. Like when I go to Binghamton for engineering, it's a tough program to succeed in, but in order to win that program, let's say, I have to make sure I'm studying, I'm on top of my things, and I'm just doing what's right for me in order to put myself in a position to succeed when I graduate.
That's awesome, man. Seem like a well-rounded
Oh,
kid, Matt.
Binghamton.
Keep it up, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Binghamton commit. That's amazing. That's a whole new slew of questions I can ask you, but we're going to keep this brief. I had mentioned earlier at the podcast with Chris, we're going to keep this going throughout, the baseball season, really, and I think beyond. I think this is a weekly thing we're going to do. One thing I mentioned is the insight from someone like you getting prepared for college. What are you most looking forward to? I mean, you got to be looking forward to going away.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a fresh start. It's kind of like it's just me relying on myself, kind of like a new path of
That's right.
independence in college where all I have is myself, and that makes me more responsible for the things I do. So it's kind of like a stepping stone into the future and like who I'll be as an adult, which I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome, man.
Very
Yeah,
mature
my
response.
brother my brother
I
went to
love
Binghamton
that.
and he loved it, so enjoy it.
Hmm.
Great
That's pretty
stuff.
high up, though. Isn't it freaking cold up there?
Yeah, one of my teammates, actually his brother is also an old teammate, but he goes to Binghamton, and his brother was telling me how like from pretty much October until now, there's no leaves on the trees. Like right now, the trees are just starting to get leaves. It's cold up there.
Well, bring your long johns, bring your Under Armour, bring your heated socks and your heated jackets, my friend, because they're definitely going to be cold up there. But that's exciting. Congratulations on that, Matt.
Thank you.
I think that's so awesome. You seem very mature about that, as well as your team's success up to this point. Good luck the rest of the way. Bring home a championship. Appreciate the time, and we'll be in touch. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll have you back on and get a little status update on how things are going up in Binghamton. Would you be up for that? Is that all right?
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Thanks, man.
Matty.
Well, we appreciate it
having you
because you're
on,
great.
bud.
You provide great insight that, like Chris says, younger kids are looking up to you and they want to hear from you and how you getting through it. You're in a new environment. You're on your own. You have your classmates. You have your teammates, coaches, and support staff. But you want to know what else is going through your mind and how are you staying fit, eating right, getting to the gym, and oh, by the way, taking care of a 30 credit course load, on your own. So we're going to be intrigued to not to put a dark cloud over it or overwhelm you or anything. But that's what you got coming at you, and I think that's going to be intriguing to hear how you're getting through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look forward
So,
to letting you guys know how it's going.
Awesome, Matt.
Appreciate it, Matty.
Thank you so much
Have
for the time.
Great rest of the day, bud.
We appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you for having me on.
I mean, awesome guy.
Listen, Todd, we know how to pick them around here at Tough Media. Like we keep saying, and we're gonna continuously not only reward kids that are high achievers on the field, but also kids that are good in the classroom. We're gonna reward kids that are well-rounded humans in general. Good brothers, good sisters, right? A whole family of different things. So, I want to make sure that everybody listening understands that, we're looking for that well-rounded kid. And, we have 10, 15 different kids a week that coaches nominate, and there's a very specific kid that we're looking for. And we want to reward that really good kid that is doing stuff in the community, is a good kid with his family. So I think we're onto something, Todd. Matty's a good kid, and I wish him the best at Binghamton.
Yeah, man. Excited for him the rest of the season. Hope he brings home the championship. Hope you bring home some good photos and videos and content. And hey, listen, stay tuned to Bucket Talk. My favorite piece of content from the Tough Media team is Bucket Talk. Bucket Talk with a branded freaking bucket.
People love it, man.
No, listen,
you got to keep giving them back what they love, Todd.
It's great, man. Like, you just getting them on a bucket and just shooting the shit and having a bunch of questions. That's great. And it's just an open dialogue, and it's just a couple of questions, bada bing, bada boom. It's perfect. So stay tuned to Bucket Talk. Stay tuned to Tough Talk, where we'll talk about Bucket Talk. And again, we're going to keep this going as long as Chris can stand me, and as long as you guys are tuning in and viewing and watching from home. We appreciate you. Thank you for the support, and bring in questions. We mentioned that 2 podcasts ago. If you have questions for a player of the week or a coach, or maybe you have someone in the community, remember, high school season's almost over. We just announced right here, we're going to keep this podcast going. If you think we should go see a certain little league or a certain player or coach or someone else in the community that's very supportive of this movement that Chris and I are champions of on Staten Island baseball and what we've built, please let us know. Contact Chris, contact me, hit us up in the comments, leave a comment, leave a like, let us know, and we'll hopefully get to them. Chris, how's that sound?
It sounds great, Todd. And I just want to thank our sponsor right now. We forgot to mention him earlier in the podcast. A good friend of ours, Trugo Athletics, Angel Lugo, really believes in what we're doing, sees the vision. So big thanks to Angel and his staff over in Fishkill, New York. Maybe we could even include like a website so that they can visit, Todd, if that's possible. I know you do a great job of editing, but big thanks to community. And Todd keeps mentioning that word. The only way we can make this happen is through the community, not only from sponsorships, but allowing us to come to games and sending us schedules. So back to what Todd said, it is going to take a community, and if you want us to be at certain events, please DM us, email us. Todd, maybe you could even put the website at the bottom moving forward, so they have like a reference point. But big thanks to the community.
Yep.
Let's keep this moving, and we'll definitely see you guys next time.
You heard Chris. That's Chris Reyes. I'm Tom Pavona, TUF Media. Keep it tuned here. Bucket Talk is coming up on the TUF Media Instagram channel. TUF Talk, another episode will be coming out next week. Don't go anywhere, folks. Got plenty more content, not just for the high school, but the rest of the time. Chris and I are going to do this until we die. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.